Hi, this is Cheryl of Majestic Wire Artworks. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these funky earrings. I call them my spiral and disc earrings. I made this pair to use up some of my discs because I find that I buy these discs and I use them, and then I have so many left over, and I wanted to come up with a new way of using them, and this is what came to mind. So in this tutorial, we're going to make the bottom part first, and let's see if I can get there. Focus is better. It's actually quite fun, and it's great for improving some of your techniques. So that's where we'll begin. So this pair, I used discs that were 15 millimeters across for the discs, and these are 10 millimeter beads. And what I'm using today to demonstrate is a different size. I've got these light pink coral discs, and they're only 13 millimeters across. So 2 millimeters makes a huge difference. And then I'm going to use some rose quartz, and these are 8 millimeter beads. So just different size. So you can pick and choose the size you want, and we'll go from there, because we're going to use the same measurement of wire, although you can, depending on your beads, you can add more wire. It's no big deal. Okay, so we will begin. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with taking your 2 pieces of 9-inch 20 gauge wire. I'll have the measurements written in the description. And we're going to bend them at 3 inches. So I'm going to get out my ruler. Two, 3. Okay, so I've bent them together, and then in order to reverse, because I don't know if you noticed, but I did have those earrings reversed to be opposites. And I've got the 3-inch piece in my hand, and the longer piece that's going to be making the loop. This is going to be the loop at the top of your earring. Let's get that in focus. So there, it got caught. And we're going to wrap it 4 times, as neat as possible. So this is going to practice, you're going to practice your wrapping. And behind the camera, I have a hard time seeing what I'm doing. So it is crooked. And so it's great for teaching. We're going to put those wraps closer together. Okay. And you just straighten them by gently squeezing around it, and this will strengthen it too. And then I'm going to take my wire and my pliers, and I'm going to work harden the wire a little bit. Okay, so we've got it where we want it. We've got the wraps looking neat. We've got them straight. I pinched the loop to be straight, so it's all looking good. Okay, and then I want you to take your other 9-inch piece and do the same thing, but where we're doing the backwards loop. So all you got to do is instead of wrapping the wire in the front, we're going to do it in the back. So I've got it like this, and I'm now going behind instead of the front. And that's going to reverse the wrap. Okay. See, that's the front. It looks good. And again, I'm going to do 4 wraps. When you do 4 wraps, the final product is, it looks like it's 5. The backwards way, for some reason, is always a little bit more difficult. So that's 3 and 4. And now I have to straighten those out. So I'm just gonna normally I don't have to straighten as much, but behind the camera I can't see what I'm doing as well. Okay, so that's looking a little off here on the loop. Straighten that out. Now I'm going to crimp this up a little bit. I'm going to squish the coils around, make them straight. Okay, now I'm going to work hard on this wire too, just a little bit. Okay. So now they're going opposite directions. Oh, this one needs a little bit more straightening. So you always check it and make sure you're happy with what it looks like, because it's really going to show up on these earrings. That's why it's so important to do a careful job. Okay. There. And now I'm going to take my round beads first. And we're going to hold the bead as tight as possible to the coil and wrap it on that side like that. And then we came in front of the bead wire. And now I'm going to hold this down, because see how it's lifting up? I'm going to hold it down against the bead, and I'm going to wrap around the bottom. Okay, so then we want to make sure that that is hugging it really, the bead really well. So we're going to take our chain nose pliers and we're going to push it together. Okay, and now we're going to do, we want it to look like we've got 5 more wraps. So we're going to do 4 more. Okay, it's 3 and 4. Okay, and see how that bent on me a bit there? We're going to just straighten that out. Fix everything as we go. Okay, it's still a little crooked. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is take my disc. And I'm going to use it to push up the coils in case they were spread apart at all. And we want this wire to be perpendicular. Okay. So we're going to hold that bead there and we're going to wrap around it. Okay. Push it up. And we're going to do one wrap around the bead wire. This is the bead wire. Just once, okay, and see how it's not sitting level. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our chain nose pliers and we're going to squeeze it tight, push it level, and you're going to adjust it until the beads are all sitting nice and straight. Does that look good? Peek over the camera, then I can see better. Okay, and I'm going to do one more wrap. And then I've got it going to the back. Okay, and then I'm going to snip that off and crimp it in, and then we're going to straighten the earring as best we can. If it needs straightening, and it most likely will. And you're going to push this part up. Then you might have to crimp the wire next to the bead again so it sits flat and supports the bead. Okay, it's looking pretty straight. And then crimp that wire in. It's looking crooked from that angle. Okay. It's not looking too bad there. So you got to do it till you're happy. And every time you move it, it's strengthening the wire. Okay, so the next step is, you see how the wire's following this pattern? So we're going to do a spiral at the bottom, going this direction. So we want to bend this wire like that. So it's continuing from this wire going that way. And then we're going to measure this to 1.5 inches long. And in the description, I will give you the millimeters for that. So we're going to go like this. The beginning of the 1 inch, I want you to be right in the middle of the coil, like that. And then snip it off right there. Now, I don't know if I can do this well on camera, but I'm going to try my best. And I'm going to measure it again. And I'm over just a smidge. there. Okay, so now we're going to do the other earring to this exact point. Yeah, where did it run on me? There it is. Okay, so that's the front. You know this is the front because it's showing that top loop. The back looks like this. So it's a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to put my bead on it. Okay, and wrap that around nice and tight. Wrap it around once. Okay, cinch that up. And I did forget to work hard on that too, so I'm just going to do the next little bit. Okay, and now I'm going to wrap 4 more times. Okay, and we want that nice and straight. The one that always works out better than the other one. This one works really well. Okay, now I'm going to introduce the disc. Let the other one go on. Okay, I want this to be the bottom. Okay, holding the disc in place. Okay, and I'm going to wrap it around once. And then straighten everything out, crimp it in. It's pretty straight. Okay, I'm going to wrap it once more around and to the back. Snip it. Crimp it in. And I'm going to, oh, see how it's stretched out on me? We're going to fix that. Push it all in. That's the front. Sit straight. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, now see how the wire's going this way? Now we want to bend this wire that way as well. And it bent on me, but that's okay. We'll fix it. Every time we fix it, it just strengthens it. And now I'm going to measure that to be 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to compare the two. Okay. This one's a tiny bit longer, so I'm going to shorten it. And they should be about the same length now. Okay. So all that's left with this is to do the spiral underneath. and we're spiraling in. So we're going to start here and work our way in. So we're going to make a tiny, tiny little curve here. Crimp it in. To make your little bud. Grab your bud and roll it up. And I realize not everybody can do this as fast as I can. Okay, so it bent a little funny there. I'm gonna crimp that in like that. There, looks better. Did it again. Oh, I'm gonna, see how it's got that little airspace there? I'm gonna unroll that. To fix it. And I think what I did, I'm going to straighten this wire out. I kinked the wire somehow. It's still a little bit kinked up there. Okay, so now I'm going to make it so it's centered and crimp it into place. Okay, that's the front. Make sure it's all straight. And that one's done. Okay, now we'll do the same for the other earring. I'm going to hold it this way, whether that's the front. This is the front. The other one I did it from the back because I always work from the right and go inwards. If you're left-handed, you'll do the opposite. It's all straightened. Oh. There. Okay. So the two bottoms are done. And their spirals are opposite of each other. And hopefully yours look good enough that you're happy with them. If not, you can always start again. And it's good practice for doing your wraps, straightening, strengthening, and your spirals. So it's lots of little practice things. Plus, they're really funky looking earrings. So the next part of making these earrings is we're going to make the spiral connectors. And these are really versatile and handy little things to use. So, and they're quite decorative. You can make them pretty much any length. Like for this pair of earrings, I made quite long ones because I just have a petite little dangle at the bottom. I'll back that up so you can see. It's nice and long. And then just because our earrings are fairly long already, we're making nice short ones. I think the shortest you can really make these though is like 3/4 of an inch. They kind of look funny if they're shorter than that. And we're doing approximately that length today. So for about 3/4 of an inch, you're going to need 2 4-inch pieces of wire, and it disappeared on me. Ah, there they are. Sorry. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do, and we're going to do this with both of them, and we're not doing our, I'm just going to show you once because we make them identical. But you make your loop at the bottom first. Okay, so I make a P loop like that. And then I go back in and I push it back to turn it into an I loop. And we do that for both of them. Okay. And the next part we do is we make sure that they're the same length by pushing them together. Take your ruler and now an eye is approximately 2 to 3 millimeters long. So if you want the whole entire spiral connector to be 3/4 of an inch, you want to take your 3/4 of an inch and then do it like 2 millimeters shorter. So there's 3/4 of an inch. And then you would go like this and then do it, pull it back about 2 millimeters. And then you're going to bend both of them at the same time so that they are the identical length. Okay. And we're going to make a loop on this side too, but we want this loop to hang this way and the top loop to hang that way. They're going to be opposite directions, which if they flip on you and you don't, we can always change that later. So the next step, and I'm only showing you one here because they're identical to make, is you make your loop on top and you just wrap once around. Okay, so this is going to be the front of your connector. It's got that look. Okay, and then you hang onto your loop again, and now you're going to angle it down to do the spiral, and I'm going to keep this on. Okay, so I am holding my finger here as a pivoting point, but I'm not putting pressure on the center pole at all. I am just pushing on the other, with my thumb on this wire. And then I just keep taking my pliers out of the loop and putting it back in. And I'm pushing with my thumb to spiral around the core wire, as I would call it. And see how it's sitting loose? It's got airspace in between. That's okay. It actually looks really cool that way. Remember, we're not pushing against the center wire at all. Just pushing with your thumb with the other wire, because otherwise we're going to bend this wire and we don't want to do that. And okay, so now we've reached the bottom, and so we're not wanting it to go at an angle anymore. So now I've got this wire straight, and we're going to make it go around at the bottom until it reaches this point, and then we will snip it off there. Okay, so this top loop, and that will be your top, is a closed loop that will go into your ear wire, and the bottom one is one that can open up and go onto the other part of your earring. So it's great for being a connector. So now we're gonna snip this off. And then crimp it in. Like that. And if it's got a bit of a burr there, you would probably file it down. If you snip it a little bit shorter than I have here, usually it meets up with the other wire here, and then it kind of makes it so that it won't have a burr. There. Okay, so I've gone ahead and made the second spiral, and now I'm ready to attach them to the earrings, as in opening up the bottom loop. So what you need to do is figure out what's the front and the back. This is the front, that's the back, okay? And you want to have the loops perpendicular towards each other, so you need to straighten that. Mine was a little bit crooked, and now I see how this is not sitting flat, so I'm straightening that. So you got to do all those little things. It's called checking your work. Okay, and now I'm going to open it up. And now I have to do the same thing. That's the front. So we want the front facing this on this side. And your loop might be opening up the opposite way. I'm not picky about that. It doesn't really show in earrings. And okay, so this is the front. That's what the back looks like. So the front looks different. And we want the front with the front. Oh, maybe I didn't open it up enough. Okay, so the front with the front. And while I have my front figured out, which is that, I'm going to put my ear wire on it. Okay, and then the next step is it straight when it's hanging, and it still looks crooked there from bending it, so I'm going to straighten that loop again. Okay, because we want it to all sit right. Okay, and now I see that this part is sitting back a little bit. I'm just going to move it forward. Do all your little checks. Make sure it's all sitting right, hanging right. And then when it's done, then it's complete. Okay. So I'll quickly put my other one together. I'm going to pause you while I do that. Okay, so I've got both of them complete. And back that up so you can see. Hopefully yours is turned out just as well. So this is a great little funky pair of earrings to make. And I think I'm going to love wearing these. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon in another video. God bless, and take care of yourselves. Good night.